Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another scene for the Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York, wherein there is a 10 point. She's there, being a filthy menace or something. And as usual, she's done this, she's done that. She's taken care of the park, taken care of the shrines, keeper duties, checked in on her various pack mates, kept an idle touch on the mind of Haraya, and all in all has just kind of done her thing today, like she do. But at this point in the day, she's standing before the stag of shrine, and standing tall at least, like the totem would expect of his children, and standing there before him has appealed to the totem to bring out the best in her. And as we pan in, zoom in, whatever we do, fancy camera moves, is actually in the process of, with the large hunting knife that Dallas has given her, has firmly cut a line down the back of either arm, and using those as the basis, has begun etching in Ogam on one arm the word loyalty, and on the other the word worthiness, and is just sitting there making those slanted and straight tick marks down either extended line, while blood just kind of seeps down her arms, drips off her fingertips, wincing occasionally perhaps, but all in all, well accustomed with pain and not terribly upset, as this is a controlled situation. She knows exactly how much damage she's doing to her body.
Watching close but not too far behind is her packmate, creeping up on her like a fucking predator that's about to pounce on some prey. He gets closer, and he almost will claw right up to her. She is lost in herself, making these incisions, and he will activate one of his gifts of blissful ignorance. He almost comes out completely invisible, so if she does turn around while he's not there, standing perfectly still, Aiden Lynch Krause will smirk a bit, studying her. Stays there for about 5 to 10 minutes. Waits till the incisioning is stopped. And then, like a cat, comes up behind under her arms just to pull her up towards him.
And yeah, there's something to be said for, being very dutiful in one's actions. So 10 Point is very much engrossed in what she's doing, particularly when it comes to etching the Ogam, because you know what? Doing it wrong when you're doing it in your own skin, that's just messed up. So she's very focused on what she's doing, and even afterwards just kind of stands there, picks her head back up to look up to the similarly antler-crowned head of her totem, and is perhaps just kind of loosely holding the knife in her hand and letting blood drip down that and her arms. And very suddenly is grabbed and yanked back, and, well, responds, thankfully not with the kind of knee-jerk violence that most Garou would, because most Garou probably would have gone back with the knife. But seeing as she's in the zone, she's startled enough to give off a very sharp yelp and gives an abrupt twist of body, not quite spry enough to twist around and bring a fist, but she definitely gives a twisting thrash and snaps back an elbow.
Yeah, I'm going to say catches him right in the chin, just poof, Turns a bit, he takes it reasonably. 10 Point has learned to hit very well, so he's not like an immovable wall. He doesn't kind of rock back holding on to her, spitting out some blood from his mouth.
And yeah, immediately following the elbow is her twisting around to look. And she goes from a look of severe alarm to recognition and immediate regret. One of the kind of blood-streaked hand coming up over her mouth.
Jesus, you hit me good there, Omega.
Oh, Raya, I'm sorry.
He smiles warmly, you know, touching some of the blood on his face.
He probably ended up with at least a bit of hers just because her arms are kind of streaked with it. But there's another kind of wince. The lines are already knitting together.
Did I give you a wee fright, did I? He'll smile again, looking a bit more manic.
You did, Raya. I'm so sorry. She will,
What are you sorry for?
She, we'll say that, like, as she's yanked back, rather than getting a grip on the knife, she probably dropped it. So, at least there's that. And she kind of nervously brings up a hand to, like, wipe some of her hair, like, you know, sweep some of her hair back behind her ear, probably leaving some blood on her cheek in the process. For hitting you, Raya.
Hitting me? Why would you be sorry for doing that?
She's still kind of a little tweaked from the grab, so she just looks puzzled. And maybe still a little bit on edge. But outright blatantly confused by how that could not be clearly a thing that she's not supposed to do.
I mean, you reacted, didn't you? How did you know it was me? How did you not know? I could have been fucking anybody.
He's still holding on to her?
Yep.
So yeah, she kind of just shuffles to get her feet a little bit better under her instead of being rocked half off of them and leaning into them. Yes, Raya, but we're at a shrine. It could only have been another Garou.
I think we'll let this one slide. What do you think?
Thank you, Raya.
Let's call this good reaction time, and you're actually learning what I was telling you. So I'm not mad. If anything, rubbed his mouth a bit, spits out a bit more of his own blood, smiling warmly and manically. If anything, I'm happy.
There's a wince there as he's spitting blood, and while she at this point has maybe some pale lines left, you know, she probably didn't do much damage, but it's going to take a lot longer to fix. So, yeah, the wince.
And I noticed. What are you doing here?
Just... I mean, it's nothing, Raya.
It's nothing, Raya. As you walk over, and I'm assuming the knife still has her blood on it as well, so he'll pick it up.
Absolutely. And I mean, the wounds may be closed, but there's still, like, some of the blood isn't even, like, dry, or most of it, in fact, probably isn't even dry on her arms.
Just nothing, Raya. This isn't the knife I normally use. You'll kind of, like, examine it.
That one is yours, Raya.
It's not mine. Whose is it?
It's mine, Raya.
Yours. Don't remember you owning a knife. You'll turn around. Who gave it to you?
Dallas gave it to me when we began weapon training, Raya.
She gave you a knife, did she? Did she say why?
Even a knife is better in combat than nothing, Raya.
Knife. Does she not understand the importance of a claw? After all, she's in a rune.
She does, Raya, but sometimes the veil doesn't permit it.
Well, good. At least she's teaching you properly. She's actually managing that. He'll smile warmly as he flips the knife up and catches it. Probably bits of her blood probably spurting him as well.
Gets a mild spattering. Yeah, possibly. Droplet or two.
Doesn't seem to mind.
Yeah, that's just a very humble little nod.
He'll walk over to the shrine as well with the knife and just like scrape it very tenderly, almost delicately, her blood on the mouth at the base of the shrine as well. Very carefully and very, very diligently.
She will just quietly look on.
So, came to see how you were doing and you're cutting yourself.
Yes, Raya.
Now, are you using it for chiminage or well,
On the other hand, sweeps up to brush hair behind the other ear, and her head may or may not drop because she's still trying to gauge what manner of mood he's in. She's not confident yet, so the eyes kind of drop. It was dual purpose, Raya.
Dual purpose. This should be interesting. What was the dual purpose?
To make an offering, Raya, and to earn absolution.
Absolution. Oh, I see. But do you not have your directives already? Why are you looking for absolution? Cutting yourself here.
You didn't give me a clear direction, Raya. I don't know how to do what you want.
You don't know how to do what I want? I see. So it's my fault then?
No, Raya. It's a hasty little head shake.
I told you to prove yourself. Prove that you're still loyal. I don't think I need much more direction than that, don't I?
And she pulls in her lower lip for half a second, gripping it in her teeth as she thinks on it. Tries to consider her words before letting them spill out. Raya, I have always been and always will be loyal. And while I could make a gesture by taking action, you have told me not to speak anymore to Jacob. And so I can't prove it by disobeying your order, Raya. Would do the opposite.
I see. And you assumed I'd be talking about Jacob, did you?
It was only the first thing I could think of, Raya.
You seem to think of a lot too quickly before you even know what I'm saying. It's very worrying, 10 Point.
Apologies, Raya.
I'm saying, prove yourself. I know, or at least I think I know, that I can rely on you. But I want to make sure. After all, you lean uncomfortably close, like in the right in the private area, you know.
Right in her personal space, all up in it.
All up in the bubble, yeah. So far, you've given me warrant to doubt, and I don't like doubts.
It was a mistake, right?
It is? And I'm sure you, praying to Stag here, will generously correct it, but Stag expects action, not self-indulgent harm. When you give your blood to the shrine, you have to have weight behind it. That's what I was always taught.
It's not normally the route I would take, Raya. But I no longer have the tools. So...
No longer have the tools. And what happened to them?
And again, her lips kind of tuck in briefly, forming a line. I gave it to Jacob, Raya.
He laughs a long, deep laugh. It's almost menacing.
She just kind of pauses mid-answer and lets her head kind of drop again.
And this is what I mean. Now you see why you've invited doubt into my mind?
The purpose of doing it, I still stand by, Raya.
But he'll never do it.
Then he will never speak to me, Raya, without commanding me to stand and listen.
That's good. But now you've given the one thing you use for your own, in terms of your own salvation. You've compromised your own ability. You've done that. Doesn't that sound familiar to the great enemy we're fighting?
I'll make another, Raya.
What does a real Garou do with themselves, and how we win this war?
She casts a measuring and still vaguely puzzled side glance, trying to catch the answer he wants, maybe even giving like a mental touch to try to read it off the top.
Oh, she gets nothing. He is walled up. All she's met with the packet is a cold, lingering silence.
At which point her jaw clenches a bit. And she just stays quiet and drops her head again.
And he begins to circle her. Don't try that. That's no fun. The bond that we share is intact, but don't try to use it. No, that's very good of you, clever, but don't try it with me. And especially don't try it in front of the Allfather over there. Point over at Stag. Wisdom we all have to seek in our own way. What does a real Garou do to win this war? 10 point. He goes right behind her and is whispering in her ear as they're facing the shrine of Stag with blood dripping off it.
There's not a flinch, not a wince, just kind of a rising tension as he does so. You fight, right?
You fight. And how do you win a fight? 10 point.
She's still, every time she thinks she can get away with it, it's that little glance like half through her hair, up through her lashes, whatever she can pull off. Still measuring, still kind of trying to find the answer on his face.
Stands there staring at her, eyes wild but lips pressed into a firm line.
how you would win a fight and how I win a fight, Raya. They're very different.
Another dodge. So close you are. Very close. Again, he's circled. So this time he's on her right side.
We each win fights our own ways, Raya. Everyone has a favorite tactic or a strength.
Oh. You've been spending too much time with Dallas. Do you want to know how a real Garou wins?
Yes, Raya.
They adapt.
It's a slow little nod. Of course, Raya.
Oh, I don't think you get it. Look at you here, sitting there, panicking, harming yourself because you've, after giving the one thing you use to earn your salvation, you've boxed yourself into a corner. Now you don't know how to get out of it. Now, real poor Garou would think, what other ways do I have? What other methods do I have? Because when the favorite tactic goes out the window, are you going to throw your hands up and give up?
And the one hand just kind of runs idly up the opposite arm over the now thoroughly healed and gone lines. I was adapting, Raya.
Were you now? But yet you were adapting, but you didn't know the purpose. What does that say?
I know the purpose of my actions, Raya, even if it's not the one you would prefer.
There's a lot of things you've been doing lately that I've not preferred. Perhaps I'm too soft on you.
And again, the tension ratchets up a notch, but she isn't twitching or moving away from him yet. She's holding her ground pretty well. Is that what you think, Raya?
I don't know. Circles again. This time he's face to face, so he's right up in her, and his eyes look wild. Like the pupils are massive. They look just feral almost.
Yep, hers drop pretty much immediately.
Your actions say otherwise. Your carelessness says otherwise. Your secrets say otherwise.
I'm keeping no secrets from you, Raya.
Oh, but you did though, didn't you? And didn't tell me at the last second. What does that say? And he'll turn around to look at Stag. I wonder what that does say. To walk over to the shrine itself, still holding the knife. Will do a light cut on his own wrist and gently squeeze it so the blood, his own blood, drips on the shrine.
It says that I was too weak to say so sooner, Raya.
Turns as he's gently kind of like folding a bit of tissue out from his pocket onto his wrist. Says you didn't adapt. You didn't think. Notice now how you're reaching and ducking and turning to dodge every question I have, when before you would have crumpled. prostrated yourself all over me, blubbering.
Is that not adapting, Raya?
Smiles. Now you're trying to finish the sentence before me. Almost as if you know the argument already.
Well, that'll knock her back down into just kind of a dumb silence.
Maybe I have been too soft on you, or maybe you've been too blind to see what I was actually showing you. And now expect me to show you again. I haven't decided which yet. Was it my fault? Was it yours?
It wasn't yours, Raya.
Well then. See, right now you're actually making me feel a bit better. Not because you're taking the blame. No. Don't care about that. More that you're willing to learn and adapt. Even if your notions of what you're learning is completely askew.
Then correct me, Raya.
I just have. Didn't I? I mean, he moves fairly quick up into her face.
Oh, yep, she flinches back a step. She gives a little ground.
You frightened me.
And she chews that one over for a second before finally nodding faintly.
I never do anything here in front of Stag. But Stag would appreciate the lesson I'm teaching you here. Adaptability is everything. And you... having grand notions about how you can adapt and survive when in reality you're fumbling around. And then trying to hide things. Twists. It worries me. But all is not lost. Is it?
There's another light shake of head.
This is a problem that can be fixed, and I trust you. Because you're on the right track. And so far, your rebuttal has impressed me. Shows you actually learned something. If you had blubbered down in front of my knees, well, we'd have a big problem. But the fact that you carefully measured your answers and showed true adaptability, even though you don't know it, shows me you're misguided in your attempts, but on the right direction.
And just a little more quietly than before, she almost mumbles it. I am trying, Raya.
He'll reach over, probably dipping some of his own blood on his finger and just touch hers and just inscribe a slow turn of a tri-spiral onto her cheek.
It'll actually bring her gaze back up.
I know, but you understood where you went wrong. You're not doing what another one of our family's doing. You accepted that you had merits, but you also had flaws. You accepted that consequence. So you'll reach over and do another slow tri-spiral on her cheek.
Of course, Raya.
Because what's worse, admitting the problem and not knowing there was a problem in the first place?
It's much worse to remain ignorant to your own weaknesses, Raya, than to admit you have them.
And the final tri-spiral and the third one will go right in the forehead.
By now she's actually holding his gaze again.
Excellent. See, you are learning. And you are ready to be a foster. Very good. Take that as the first step of you making sure that doubt is gone from my mind.
There's finally a short but not like weak little nod. Thank you, Ryan.
The next thing that will really impress me is if you can figure out what I'm on about. Who am I comparing it to? And what was their mistake? If you can figure out that before they can, well, it'll tell me a great deal.
You mean the one you mentioned from within our pack, Raya?
Yeah, oh, yes.
Unless you're purposefully misdirecting, it's not a hard puzzle, Raya.
Can you tell me what her mistake was?
Which one, Raya?
A very important one. One that she thinks. You lean right down. As he finishes, like, just putting the final smears on that tri-spiral. The third one on the top of her skull. One that she thinks was her greatest achievement, and when in fact, there's two mistakes she made I don't think she's even aware of. And I'm not going to make her aware of. I'm wondering, do you know them?
Mistakes during the battle, Raya.
Smile. Two things happened.
How could I, Raya? I wasn't there.
I thought you would have looked through my head.
I kept an ear on both of you. I glanced through occasionally, but I had to focus on what we were doing.
I didn't mean during the battle. No, God, no. You smile. I meant afterwards when you noticed something was wrong.
She adopts the slightest cant of her head thoughtfully, looking up into his eyes again. And, he may be looming, but she kind of reaches out again. Mentally.
This time he opens up, and yeah, he shows Dallas wavering, and Dallas not correcting him for breaking rank.
And yeah, she'll go distant-eyed as she shares in the memories while he indulges her in it.
See, I had to rally that line because someone's leadership wavered. But I also broke rank. Now, my excuse is, well, my friend just died right in front of me. But I still broke rank. And you notice the difference when someone disobeys my order? Or someone like William White, I've seen him enforce his orders. Or Saoirse. Do you notice the difference of what happens immediately afterwards?
And yeah, her eyes refocus. Yes, right.
Now, if you tell her any of this, I will be very displeased. Because how will she learn then if she's told the answer?
Does she know there's a question, Raya?
That's even worse, isn't it? Now I've given her a chance because she's my packmate. I've waited. And I've been met with silence.
Right, she has not lived the way I have. She doesn't look for questions to answer.
Don't be giving her excuses. She wants to claim responsibility as a leader. She has to learn to watch her entire surrounding. It has nothing to do with your job. She wants to step up to the plate. This is the job you do. When a person makes a mistake like that, you enforce it with iron authority. She should know this. She is in a rune. This is her life.
Of course, sir.
And more importantly, she's a get of fucking Fenris. I've seen Eric, her idol, do this many a time. It was one of the first things he taught me.
Another quick, firm nod. Understood, right?
I don't mean to be harsh, but I must do my job as well. And it's a test. I told her I'd given her one. And guess what happened?
What, right?
She's failed. Now, she may yet redeem herself when I talk to her and she figures out what she's done. But I'm not going to give her any hints, and I don't want you to either. This is the thing she has to learn on her own. But as far as her testing, saying that she's ready for capabilities, she's proven to me she really isn't.
I understand, right?
This was also something Saoirse noticed. And what is Saoirse?
Galliard, right?
Nod. Here, though, 10 point. What position does she hold?
Tail singer, right?
And what would you do if you were our enemy and you saw something like that?
You would know that the leader was weak, right?
And what's a Galliard's greatest strength in this nation?
The ability to decide how a tale is told, right?
Precisely. Now, thankfully, Saoirse is our friend and a very trusted ally. So I made sure she spun the tale the right way. But do you understand the importance, 10 point? Do you understand the lesson?
Yes, sir.
Well, tell me. Let's see.
It is as you said, right? The slightest weakness can be exploited.
And
She adopts a faint tilt of head. She's still not looking away anymore, still looking up at him. And that we must adapt, right?
he'll smile, reach over and touch her hair. Very good. You see? Now you're proving me right in my assumptions that I knew you were on the right path.
Even if I stumble, right? Even if I fall, I'll stay on the path.
Consider that your absolution, Temwood. Consider you pass with flying colours.
She finally lets the tension go. Visibly relaxes her posture somewhat. She isn't like going to go to Jello and fall over, but just relaxes into a more comfortable stand.
But consider this, and let this sink into the pit of your stomach like it has been for mine for weeks. If you understand it, a menace, a theurge, a cleath, on the cusp of fostering, what's her excuse?
In all fairness, Raya, you showed it to me.
But you understood the moment I pointed out the reasoning behind it. You understood the need. In fact, from what I remember, you have never broken rank. From what I understand is you have a perfectly good awareness.
Of course, Raya.
You understand the burdens of leadership. However, you will not, more than likely, not lead many things, but you understand the burdens of them.
Of course, Raya.
Then what is her excuse? If a Metis can comprehend it.
It doesn't seem, Raya, as though her problem is comprehension. It's recognizing that the mistake was there in the first place. I'm sure, Raya, that if you were to remind her of what took place, she would understand where she had gone wrong.
You look at her. Remind her. No. I'll poke at her brain and see can she remember herself. But I'm done holding her hand. A reminder will be in the form of what she says. If she says the mission was a great success, I carried myself well in leadership, and all I will say is, did you now? That is interesting. I'm done out and out playing. A simple drop of a hint is all that should be needed.
Of course, Raya.
But let's not think about that. For now, I'm really happy that at least my Omega has her head on straight.
She's not quite ballsy enough to smile, but she certainly casts a look up at him. Thank you, Raya.
You pick her up and carry her back and start carrying her off.
And yeah, even as he dips into the gesture at this point, she's probably pretty used to just getting spontaneously scooped up. So yeah, she'll fold tidily into his arms as she's scooped up.
And he'll carry her back to the pack cabin and chill out.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yep, she'll nest up happily against his chest and leave a little bit of that weight that was on her shoulders behind as they head back to the pack cabin. And I suppose with that, you can say thank you, players, for playing and watchers for watching. We'll see you next time on the Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.